For reasons unknown to me, they want to keep it quiet. Some are more open than others. But the British government criticized, and excuse me, in Volume 2 of that report, the United States Air Force, as to why the Air Force hasn't released the documentation explaining the metallic objects that they've recovered, the metallic substances that they've recovered, and putting to bed once and for all the extraterrestrial hypothesis. They can't do that because they would not put to bed once and for all the extraterrestrial hypothesis. Many of those finalized intelligence products makes it clear that, in fact, what we'd recovered were objects that did not originate on the face of this planet, and that we, the governments of the world, many of the governments of the world, out of necessity, have had open contact with our visitors for many years.
One of the biggest secrets, Cliff, and you know this, is that so much of the hardware that we recovered was not just UFOs. Some of the ships we recovered were time ships.
Well, absolutely.
Because when you travel in space, you travel in time. And most of the hardware that we've got, and that really blew our minds when we realized that those things were designed to travel in time. And as I said to some of the people here this afternoon, I'm still trying to come to terms with that.
I need to send you some CDs.
That they can manipulate time as well as manipulate matter. And I'm an old-fashioned old fart, and I'm still having problems wrapping my brains around that.
But Bob, you know why that is? The technology is so far advanced that we
Cliff,
see it as
it's a
magic.
million years ahead of us.
And then some. NASA will tell you in their advanced, I don't know how many of you people are aware of it, but in 1995, NASA said we're never going to get to other solar systems by using conventional rockets. So they asked for scientists to think out of the box. And many of the scientists started to think about exotic propulsion systems, antimatter drive, teleportation, traversable wormholes, and I assure you I have the documentation. If any of you are in Roswell, my door's not closed to anybody. You can come over there and I'll be happy to make on a CD copies of those reports that they have.
And now all of that, to some people, is commonplace.
Mm-hmm. And if you have, we've known for a long time, if you have an interstellar conveyance, which is a spacecraft capable of flying from the Earth to another solar system in a reasonable amount of time, you actually have a time machine. Case in point. I won't go into detail how I know this, but you have a planet that is 100 light years from planet Earth. They decide to visit planet Earth. It'd take light 100 light years, or 100 light years to reach us from that
The speed
star.
of light takes 100 years.
So the whole situation is they can do it in real time in an hour and 40 minutes. That's traversing what we call space-time. So when they get here, they're seeing the light from their planet 100 light years prior. But you can also travel in and out of different space-time continuums, for lack of a better term. And you can actually view things that have happened in the past. And a lot of times, you may even experience this. Like, you can't shake the feeling you're by yourself, yet there's someone else there. There's someone watching you. That could very well be a person that's from the future observing you in the present. So the time travel, the one thing there's a natural barrier. It's going to keep us from getting that stuff. So we develop a time machine before they do. You mess up the entire space-time continuum if that was to happen. So God in his infinite wisdom ensured that would not happen. However, that doesn't stop you from going back and observing. But there's also a great desire not to do anything to change the future. You only can change the future in the present. If you change the future, you create a whole new universe.
Another timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they're working on, aren't they?
They're working on that's very dangerous. I'm borrowing liberally from Randy Rooney, who that was one of his favorite sayings. That society is willing to believe the facts when they are presented with the facts, but only if the facts already agree with what they believe. So, and it holds very true in the UFO field.
Okay, so you've seen ships from the future. What do the ships look like?
You asking me or Clifford?
Both of you.
There are many,
Bob,
many,
if you're prepared
many,
to tell the
many
truth
comments
about this,
like,
I'm listening.
we have many types of aircraft, and we have many societies that are visiting us. And you can't think of it as being aerodynamic aircraft frame. The circular, the common circular saucer shape, they have that. They have the blade shape. They even have the cube shape. They have the spherical shape.
They have mothers out there 5 miles long.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
What about the plasma ships, though?
The plasma ships can take it in any form they wish.
Right.
In any
Because-
time they wish.
Yep.
That's what's so difficult for many of our scientists to come to terms with. We're not talking about distances. We're talking about time. And when these guys come here, they're coming into their past to visit us. Because some of them are a million years ahead of us.
But you want to be careful about that, because can you imagine going back in your past and, oh no, my grandparents or my ancestors did this. How do I cover this up?
Yeah, I come from a family of racists. And that's not easy for me to come to terms with. My old man, my father was a racist.
Well, I had to pay $500 to have a Catholic church look up my lineage. I had to pay them $1,500 to keep quiet about it.
Kidding.
Wow.
Really?
Check to the Vatican, did you?
Absolutely.
Oh, Jesus.
I guess they'll figure it balanced about next week. You'd have 2 teams that show up. You'd have 18 meetings. First ones there, if there were any injured entities, you had to give them first aid. Our first aid could actually kill them. So it was imperative that we knew which species we were dealing with and what was the appropriate first aid. So that became crucial. Now, I wasn't even supposed to see that book. But a lot of the people that made up the team that would show up all the time, the medical staff, the key people, I refused to go to school. And later on I found out that would have been, actually in the Army, we called it gondola wish. That was the Army Security Agency remote viewing program. But at the same time, the intent of doing remote viewing, they hoped to go ahead and get a remote viewer down to at least core level where they could be utilized in the field maybe further. Based on the experiences that I've had, I believe that I was meant to be in core level. Because while I was in Germany, I was at V Corps level. You're familiar with that. And even though I was in the 3rd Armored Division by being under Hanau Military Community, that was part of 3rd Armored Division. We were part of 3rd Armored Division. That made me a valuable asset to V Corps. Only I didn't know that's what I was doing. When this book came out, I actually got a call from a guy who was involved with the United Kingdom program, who told me, you should look at some of those files on Stargate. And I said, I would, only the CIA says that they have already turned them over to the National Archives. The National Archives wants a couple of thousand before they'll even start a search for those records. So there is a site called remoteview.com that has some of the CIA documents going with remote viewing there.
But is stuff redacted out of it? Those black lines, they're always...
There's some, you're always going to have that. Some of that is really necessary to protect legitimate national security concerns.
Such as? Really, let's get down to it. What is the national security concern with regard to the ET?
Okay, for example, well, not with ET. Only about 5% of that needs to be. We were always told not all contact is going to be of a friendly nature. Now, I never had anything happen that was really, really bad. I actually, this eye right here, for their interaction, I still have this eye. And you'll read about that in the book. But I almost lost that eye in Vietnam. And the reason the eye was damaged was there was this bug they had in Vietnam that sprayed into my eye and cut the corona of the eye. Cornea of the eye. So go ahead and figure out what insect can do that. But that was the reason I had it bandaged up for well over a week. But
Clifford, you were talking earlier about why the dam lid has been clamped down and why it's still being held down.
well, the reason is they dug themselves into a hole. How do you tell the world that there is life out there? Not only is it out there, but it's been visiting us for many, 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 many years, going into the millennia. Now, how do you go and tell an unsuspecting worldwide public that this is the case? And when you do this, there will be repercussions. Actually, during the time of Stargate, they did an exercise in remote viewing going back to the time of Christ.
They saw the crucifixion.
You need to go and take a look at that remote viewing training exercise they did.
But use it and do it with great care, because when you
Oh, but remember, I still believe in God, and I still believe Christ is the Son of God. But you also have to remember that everything in the universe is interrelated.
we're all part of a vast family.
Absolutely. God created everything in the universe and then some. They have a greater understanding. Like when I say, they say, okay, describe E.T. Well, if you see them, you see us. Because we say that we're human. Are they more human than us? They got a highly evolved intelligence. But what I say is that humanity is within all the races. And the spirituality is in all the races.
I would say it the reverse. All the races are in humanity. And that is
You may
the
have
big
more
secret.
correct. Oh, absolutely.
And
I'm sorry,
when we
baby.
realize
Excuse me.
that is when we realize our power, our true power.
When
And then they really can't keep us down.
I was praying at my son's grave, one of the ETs that was there knelt with me. We prayed this as we prayed.
I've been told by them face to face that they venerate the same God we do.